Good morning. It is Monday, January 29th, 2024. It is certainly difficult to know how to start off a weather episode right now with all of the warmth that's going on around the world. We have several countries and continents right now that are, over the past several days, have broken records, all-time records. Let's start off, first of all, here in the United States with a couple of remarkable weather events that have happened in the Washington, D.C. area. The weather event number 1 and 2, let's say, you could even combine it into one, really is not necessarily remarkable, or it shouldn't be, but the Baltimore area, Washington, D.C. area did end up breaking an over 700-day snow drought. This happened last week as 3 to 5 inches of snow fell across that area. That's what happened. Take that back a week. Well, maybe 10 days ago or so. A week ago, Friday, there was the 2 systems in 1 week of inches of snow that accumulated. Computer models were a little bit underestimated, this just by a little bit. Snow amounts were about an inch or 2 higher than what was forecasted. So that was in a city which does receive snow just about every winter and has not received snow. So this is something which people probably looked forward to it. And then we come into this week and temperatures hit 80 degrees in Washington, D.C. That's that's right. Totally phenomenal stuff in Washington, D.C. That is a record for the date that was set this past Friday, January 26th. It's also the warmest ever for the month of January. Records go back to 1872, the highest temperature up until now, 79 degrees, reports the Washington Post, set back in 1950. We're going to take a look at that just a moment inside, just to get everything 100% accurate. That's 1950, 79 degrees was the previous record. We now have 80 degrees. The record for 80 degrees, the earliest 80 degree that has ever occurred, was in late February. And on average, the first 80 degrees of the season occurs in late March. So we're 2 months above average, 1 month ahead of the record already for Washington, D.C. Baltimore almost made it. High temperature 78 degrees Friday, January 26th. The record for the date and the record for the month, 79 degrees, just like Washington, D.C. So Baltimore didn't quite make it. But this comes a week after receiving snowfall again, a solid snow for that area. Okay, now, we have some more warmth developing later on this week as an omega block is expected to develop later this week. This might be impacting portions of the northern plains and Canada and even other parts of the Midwest. Temperatures will be going possibly up to 30 degrees above normal should this develop. That's when we will see the jet stream buckle upwards as a ridge develops over the Midwest and southern Canada. The storm track is expected to remain well to the south of this region. We also have a strong storm system diving southeast into North Carolina. Now, it's really only the Raleigh, North Carolina National Weather Service that I've seen that is referring to this as a strong storm system, probably calling it accurately based upon the barometric pressure. But it's also being called a Clipper system, a fast-moving system, moisture-starved system here in the Midwest, impacting the Chicago area Monday night into Tuesday. We're lacking on the cold air this year. Besides for that Arctic outbreak we had last week, we are lacking on the cold air. This Clipper system, once again, precipitation, unusual for January, beginning of February, for a Clipper system to be producing rain. But the first half of the system, rain, says the National Weather Service, rain showers and snow showers for the second half possible on Tuesday, with no snowfall accumulation due to temperatures being in the mid and upper 30s. Another Clipper system brings a front by later in the week for the Chicago area on Thursday, but nothing really significant regarding cold either. Okay, so Now, really the next major thing, which we will be talking about in just a second, is a storm system that is expected to develop in southern Texas, says the New Orleans, Louisiana National Weather Service. That storm system moves across the Gulf later this weekend. That storm system will not have any cold air, except perhaps initially. The European computer model does show some snow developing off Kansas initially, but then it turns into an all-liquid event as it moves across the Gulf Coast. And then for the weekend, now there's a lot of differences in the forecast, that different models that start to occur really from the weekend onward. We're going to talk about, in just a moment, a situation that would bring significant lake effect snow to the Chicago area on a particular day next week. We're just going to mention the setup because there are people that are interested in knowing what type of a setup would bring lake effect snow to Chicago. Chicago does not get significant lake effect snow often. We're on the wrong side of the lake for it. But the European computer model sets up the exact weather scenario that's necessary to bring this type of event. We had this event last year, 2 years ago actually, at the end of January, we had an event that brought 3.3 inches officially to Chicago, but between 8 and 9 inches in Skokie and Evanston, places like that. I believe the record officially is only 5.8 inches. That's how rare it is for the Chicago area to get lake effect snow, significant amounts. We've never even seen a 6-inch snow for lake effect compared to other cities which get lake effect snow. You know, there are places that have seen over 100 inches from just one storm. I mean, that's extreme, but those things have happened. So Chicago does not get much lake effect snow. We do have the European computer model, again, setting up the Chicago area. I'll tell you that's for a week from Tuesday. We're not talking about it for the purpose of accuracy, really. It's really too far in advance. But it is a setup we'll be getting back to in just a moment. Let's skip over to Spain and France, actually. Germany as well. These are all places that received record warmth over the past several days. And then we're going to talk about a heat wave, temperatures about 120 degrees in Australia. And then one of my favorite cities is Woolsdrift, South Africa. Just phenomenal stuff going on over there. Okay. So let's go. The Washington Post has just a wealth of weather information. It's very hard not to look at it. Let's just take a look at the Washington Post quickly. Just a few short things over there. Let's go back actually to the snowstorm in Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, the second storm. So this is from January 19th. The article is written by Jason Samenow. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Ian Livingston and Jeff Halverson. The second significant snowstorm in 1 week blanketed the Washington region Friday, icing over roads and shutting down schools. This would have been Friday, January 19th. Widespread amounts of 2 to 5 inches fell on top of similar totals from the storm on Monday and Tuesday. It's interesting that we actually spoke about this on this podcast well in advance, at a time when the National Weather Service wasn't even mentioning it. And then we also spoke about it in the beginning stages when the National Weather Service started to mention it, all based upon the European computer model, which in that episode, the European computer model said about 6 inches, which they were actually showing two different scenarios that could bring snow to the Baltimore area. We mentioned it. This actually ended up happening, with the first one occurring Monday and Tuesday earlier in that week, and then the later one occurring on Friday of that week. The official amounts, 3.7 inches, was storm number 1 for for Reagan National Airport, followed by 4.1 inches. The opposite, 4.1 inches in the beginning, followed by 3.7 inches for the total of 7.8 inches which as predictions were 1 to 4 inches. And okay, here's some of the Gaithersburg, Germantown, Clarksburg, Darnestown, and Damascus all reported right around 6 inches. Illicit City 5.8 inches, Ashburn 5 inches, Dulles Airport 4.9 inches, Poolsville and Rockville 4.5 inches, Crofton 4.3 inches. Let's just skip down to National Airport 3.7 inches. This is the Washington Post reports it's the first time they've had 2 plowable snowfalls in such short succession since February 2010, when there were back-to-back blizzards. The storm was a clipper system, and then the storms approach from the west-northwest. They're efficient at lifting the air. They tend to be starved for moisture, as we've spoken about many times. And they're also usually embedded in a fast-moving jet stream, so it's a quick hit, and there's a limited time for accumulation. We've spoken about that as well, and as a result, the Mid-Atlantic typically only experiences up to a few inches of dry, powdery snow from such systems. So this was a little bit more. It took an ideal track to maximize snowfall across the area. In the upper atmosphere, the disturbance associated with this clipper was supercharged with spin that increased the upward motion in the lower and middle atmosphere, and this resulted in cooling and freezing of moisture into the thick clouds and moderately heavy snow. The storm track went a little bit further south than forecasted, and that's one of the reasons why the forecast was slightly less than what actually occurred. Let's go on to the record heat across the world. Here's some of the records set over the past several days. High temperatures reached well into the 60s, and in some cases surpassed 70 degrees this past Wednesday. That would be January 24th. Record daily highs included 74 degrees Fahrenheit, 23.3 Celsius. In a place in France, perhaps it's called Calabriers, but perhaps not. It's spelled Collobrières, 74 degrees in Cuenca. It's spelled Cuenca, Spain. That's 23.2 degrees Celsius. 64 degrees in Imst, Austria, 17.9 degrees Celsius. 62 degrees in Piotta, Switzerland, Piotta, 16.4 degrees Celsius. Les Salines, Salines, reached at least 69 degrees Celsius at Fahrenheit, 20.5 degrees Celsius, which is a new January record for the county of Andorra. In Germany, Geldern, Geldern, and Rheinstetten, Reinstetten, set records Wednesday, January 24th for warm minimum temperatures, both only dropping to 52 degrees, 11 degrees Celsius. In Australia, the high temperatures approached 120 degrees in portions of South Australia and Queensland on Wednesday, January 24th. This includes 119 degrees Fahrenheit in Oodnadatta, Oodnadatta, 48.3 degrees Celsius, 118 degrees Fahrenheit in Birdsville, 47.9 degrees Celsius. Records for warm minimum temperatures were set at several locations, including a low of 95 at Birdsville, Queensland's highest minimum temperature ever recorded, 35.2 degrees Celsius. South America temperatures soared as high as 100 to 110 degrees Tuesday, January 23rd. Trillo, Argentina saw its hottest day on record with a high of 109, 42.6 degrees Celsius. Talca, Chile, all-time record on Monday, January 22nd, with a high of 102 degrees, 38.8 degrees Celsius. In Colombia, Neiva, reached 103 degrees Fahrenheit, 39.2 degrees Celsius. And in Girardot, Girardot reached 102 degrees, 38.9 degrees Celsius. That was on Wednesday, January 24th. That's a record high in both places for January. While Podeacucar, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right at all, Podeacucar in the Brazilian state of Alagoas reached 106 degrees Fahrenheit, 41.2 degrees Celsius. In Africa, record heat from Liberia to Congo for weeks. Tuesday's high of 103 degrees, January 23rd, 39.6 degrees Celsius at Dimbakro was the Ivory Coast's hottest January day on record. In South Africa, Woolsdrift soared to 115 degrees Fahrenheit, 46.1 degrees Celsius. We're going to take a closer look at that city in just a second. The way to spell that city, just in case I am pronouncing it wrong, and even if I'm not, it's really unique. Really unique spelling. I've been into the city for years due to the large contrast in temperatures between day and night. At times, consistently 50 degrees at times. We're going to look at it in just a moment. Violsdrif. In Asia, this is the farthest north area where we've seen record warmth over the past several days. DAWEI, Myanmar, Myanmar, reached 99 degrees Fahrenheit, 37 degrees Celsius on Tuesday, which is the all-time, breaking its January record for the highest temperature, while the Maldives tied its warmest January temperature on record Wednesday with a high of 92, 33.4 degrees Celsius in Hanimadhoo. This is nearly 20 records were set in Tuesday for warm minimum temperatures in Japan, the Caribbean, the Mediterranean, and Mexico. All of those, they've seen record warmth for this time of the year as well. Let's just speak briefly about what's causing these things to happen. The main driving force behind all this, in my opinion, is the buckling of the jet stream. That's what's causing the warmth to develop. The reason why these are records, that I don't know why we're getting records right now, but when you have a buckling of the jet stream, you tend to get stagnant. A lot of times you get a blocking pattern of these domes of heat that become stationary over parts of land. The thing about this is that this is something, the domes of heat are something that usually develops much later in the year. It's not something that really develops in winter, but this winter it's doing it. We have, it's considered like strong high pressure and the higher levels in the atmosphere. That's what a dome of heat is. We also have an El Nino. And another thing which we've spoken about before is leftover warm ocean water temperatures from the year of 2023, which was considered the warmest year on record in general on this planet. The Arctic Oscillation Index is also helping to keep the Arctic air up north. Now, here's something else just to speak about for just a moment, and some people might get worked up about this, but we've mentioned, rarely, but we've mentioned the IPCC, the International Panel on Climate Change, where at least at one point, perhaps it still is, the threshold for basically a major tipping point, a threshold which the goal has been to keep to prevent this from happening, is prevent the world from reaching a temperature of 1.5 degrees Celsius warmer than what it was in the pre-industrial times of the 1800s. So the thing over here is that Britain's meteorological office has warned that this year's average global temperature could be warmer than 1.5 degrees Celsius. That could be happening this year. The one thing to point out is that the 1.5 degrees Celsius, if it does happen this year, we've mentioned before, it's only going to be temporary. It's expected to only be temporary, and El Nino is what's contributing to that. So when the El Nino falls apart, that global temperature would likely drop again. So we have not, the 1.5 degrees Celsius does not represent the tipping point for this year. And that's why there isn't such a reason to get so worked up about it right now. The NOAA, the National, NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, said there's a 1 in 3 chance that 2024 will be warmer than 2023, and 99% chance that 2024 will rank among the top 5 warmest years. We're now going to take a look at Voldsdrift, South Africa. And then we're going to come back and talk about some stuff going on in St. Louis off the Ozark Plateau area, which will be bringing warmer air to that area. Just listen to some of this. So Wednesday morning, January 31st, temperature is expected to be 52 degrees. High temperature Wednesday, 100 degrees. That comes from AccuWeather. So that's about a 50-degree rise during the day. The temperatures drop down into the mid-60s Wednesday night, and then temperatures warm on Thursday to 102. About a 40-degree rise. Another 40-degree drop Thursday night, and down into the low 60s. Highs go into the low hundreds on Friday. Another 40-degree rise, a 40-degree drop Friday night into the upper 50s. Temperatures rising into the mid-90s on Shabbos, on Saturday night, lows in the mid-60s. We're going to see, again, it's not as drastic as we go on into the week. But let's take a look at the monthly. The AccuWeather has been reporting these temperatures. We've mentioned in the past that AccuWeather's reporting of temperatures sometimes, I've noticed that for places like St. Louis and other places, it's about a degree. Sometimes it could be a degree, sometimes even 2 degrees off from the official high, but it usually is not. It usually is on par with the official high. We've spoken about why it's possible that happens. But we look at the temperatures. Really, the hottest temperature so far this month occurred Sunday, yesterday, January 28th, with a high of 104. We've been seeing lots of temperatures in the low hundreds. Now for the St. Louis area, for tonight and tomorrow, we have a surface ridge, which it's going to be shifting east of the St. Louis area. That's going to cause the winds to turn and become southwest. That's the warmest type of wind possible. This is going to cause warmer air to move into the St. Louis area. But another thing is that this warmth will be boosted by what's called orographic effects of the Ozarks. Now, the National Weather Service is calling this the warmth is due to the orographic, which they could be referring to there'll be less clouds in the area, but they also could be referring to the downslope winds. I don't know, okay, the downslope winds slightly off the Ozark Plateau, which tends to heat things up in the St. Louis area. So temperatures are expected to be well above normal due to the southwest winds and also due to the downslope winds off the Ozark Plateau over the for tomorrow. Then a low pressure system, a clipper system, moves through the area. We'll probably see a return of the mild air later on in the week. All right, let's go on and talk about the storm system that will be moving through the Gulf Coast this upcoming weekend, but also really focus more on the effects of a storm system which might be moving up the coast next week. It would be called a coastal low, but might not affect the East Coast. And even if it does, remarkably, it does not have cold air feeding into it, at least according to the current forecast. However, this storm system is expected to be strong, and it will be bringing, if this does occur, northeast winds for an extended period, cold northeast winds. The Chicago area usually gets its northeast winds in association with a storm system moving through the Midwest. The northeast winds therefore cause lake enhancement, except this year it caused the snow to fall as rain. But when the northeast winds are a result of storm systems moving up the coast and they occur this time of the year, the Chicago area tends to get snow and it tends to accumulate. Usually nothing significant, but we have had significant snows before, such as what occurred in 2022, where some of the parts of the Chicago area got 8 and even 9 inches of snow. So that's something to watch out for Tuesday of next week. In fact, Chicago might be one of the only cities getting significant, if this should materialize, Chicago might be the only city receiving significant snow from this coastal low up the East Coast. That's quite remarkable, but that's due to a lack of cold, really. But Chicago is so far on the back side of the system. It's well in the cold air mass, and as a result, plus the northeast winds and the warmer lake temperatures, we would see significant snow as a possibility here. We've covered a lot. We've not covered it all. When you look in the European computer model and you see a storm system on the west coast of 28 point something, it becomes very clear that there's a very significant weather event that we are not covering in this episode. And there are headlines around about an atmospheric river being associated with a system on the west coast. I would imagine it is the same system, so there's plenty more to talk about. But what's interesting about the next week and what's been happening over the past week, number one, every year, again, we can't say every year, but many, many years, we have something called the January thaw. This is something that the New York Times speaks about more so perhaps than other papers, that it happens. They've actually pinpointed the dates between January 23rd to the 27th. That includes the Midwest and the East Coast. This year we saw January thaw as well. We were in a deep freeze before that from Arctic air, and places were snow covered, including the mid-Atlantic area, and all of that snow melted, at least for a large part of this country. That snow melted during that period as we saw a warm up. And now we go back to winter, but we go back to an El Nino winter. And for those people that like winter, at least at this point, we still have disappointing stuff headed our way, at least for this week. And that's here in Chicago with 2 Clipper systems, and we may not even get cold enough for snow. And even if we do, no snow accumulation is expected. The next significant snow, the next possibility of significant snow right now is that Tuesday event, 10 days out, 9 days out at this point. For it's Tuesday night into Wednesday even, but that's something really far out, and lake effect is something difficult to forecast even 24 hours in advance. So, but nonetheless, this lake effect, it would be associated with an organized storm system should it occur. We can mention it. The last time we mentioned stuff like this far out, it did end up occurring. So this is something we could mention. And also, it is the only, for winter enthusiasts, it's the only thing we have really upcoming that anyone's aware of right now. The Gulf Coast could be getting a lot of rain from a storm system moving across the Gulf Coast this weekend. However, the New Orleans, Louisiana National Weather Service has pointed out that as of now, the storm track is expected to remain so far south that the severe weather risk will be reduced. If there is a severe weather risk, to reduced. It would occur perhaps on the waters of the Gulf of Mexico, but that is also something that needs to be observed, is the storm track associated with that low pressure system. If that storm track should go a little bit further north, then there would be a severe weather risk for the Gulf Coast states. We do have a winter storm warning in effect for portions of South Carolina. These are the higher elevations of Swain and Haywood counties, above 3,500 feet until noon later today. This is Monday, January 29th, for snow accumulations an additional amount of 2 to 4 inches, gusting as high as 55 miles per hour. This is going to produce slippery road conditions. The hazardous conditions could impact the morning commute. Gusty winds could bring down tree branches. A winter storm warning for heavy snow means severe winter weather conditions are expected or occurring. Significant amounts of snow are forecast that will make travel dangerous. Only travel in an emergency. If you must travel, keep a flashlight, food, water, and a warm blanket in your vehicle in case of an emergency. The National Weather Service asks to please report snow and ice accumulations by calling the National Weather Service toll-free at 1-800-267-8101. Again, that's 1-800-267-8101. Leave a message with your observation and the specific location where it occurred. You can also post your report to the National Weather Service Greenville, Spartanburg Facebook, or tweet your report using hashtag NWSGSP. Stay tuned to NOAA Weather Radio or your favorite source of weather information for the latest updates. Additional details can be found at www.weather.gov/GSP. The latest state road conditions can be obtained by calling 511. The Boston, Massachusetts has issued a winter storm warning in effect until 9 a.m. this morning. Heavy snow with additional snow accumulations up to 1 inch. This is for western Franklin and western Hampshire counties. Again, it's until 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning. Slippery road conditions, and this would impact the morning commute. They've also issued a winter storm warning for northern Worcester and northern Middlesex counties. Additional snow accumulations up to 1 inch. Anchorage, Alaska also has a winter storm warning for northeast Prince William Sound, as always, or as usual, Valdez, Thompson Pass. Snow in Valdez and Thompson Pass is expected to persist through at least Tuesday morning. Heavy snow may result in over a foot of accumulation through sunrise Monday. Total snow accumulations are expected to be in the range of 36 to 50 inches. A winter storm warning for snow means severe winter weather conditions will make travel very hazardous. If you travel, keep an extra flashlight, food, and water in your vehicle in case of an emergency. Anchorage, Alaska National Weather Service has issued a winter storm warning. In effect, this includes the cities of Glen Allen, Eureka, McCarthy, Paxton, and Slana. This was issued 11:26 p.m. Alaska Standard Time, Sunday, January 28th. Heavy snow with additional snow accumulations up to 20 inches along the Richardson Highway south of Tonsina, up to 10 inches of additional snow accumulations on the Edgerton Highway. This is for the southern Copper River Basin, Edgerton Highway, and Richardson Highway south of Tennessee until 7 p.m. Alaska Standard Time Monday. These are some additional details. This is expected to be a long-duration event persisting into Tuesday at least. Tonight through Monday morning are going to see up to a foot of snow, potentially within a 12-hour period, and up to 30 inches of new snow accumulation possible near the Chugach CHUGACH mountains along the road system, with higher amounts in the mountains. Highest total snow amounts will be along the Richardson Highway south of Tonsina, with total snow amounts along the Edgerton Highway receiving up to an additional 10 inches. Areas further north between Glen Allen and Paxton may see 3 to 8 inches of additional snow. For their advice is just slow down and use caution while traveling. That's a place that is always receiving snow, so over there they handle it differently. We have the National Weather Service of Gray, Maine, has a winter storm warning in effect. This includes the following cities: Milford, Sharon, Hollis, Mount Vernon, Amherst, Gilson, Jeffrey, Ware, Petersboro, Goffstown, Marlow, Sullivan, Surrey, and Keene. This is for western and central Hillsborough and the Cheatham counties. Additional snow accumulations up to 1 inch for a storm total of 4 to 8 inches. This is in effect until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning. Periods of moderate and heavy snow will combine with low visibility to create dangerous and driving conditions. The hazardous conditions could impact the Monday and morning commute. Morristown, Tennessee now has a winter storm warning in effect until 10 a.m. this morning. Snow showers over the higher elevation. Additional snow accumulations up to 2 inches, mainly at elevations above 3,000 feet, with higher amounts possible in the highest mountain peaks. This is for mountains of East Tennessee above 3,000 feet. This is until 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning. Plan on slippery road conditions and reduced visibility from blowing snow. Albany, New York has issued a winter storm warning. This includes many cities. This is for in Massachusetts, northern Berkshire County, in New York, western Albany and western Greene counties, in Vermont, western Windham County. Additional snow accumulations of 3 to 6 inches from 6 a.m. Sunday to noon today, Monday. Travel will be difficult due to snow-covered roadways and reduced visibility. Valley areas will see snow mixed with rain through late Sunday afternoon, reducing snow accumulations. If you must travel, keep an extra flashlight, food, and water in your vehicle in case of an emergency. We have some other warnings in effect across this country, including a high wind warning, which is in effect for portions of the Juneau, Alaska National Weather Service has issued that for wind gusts up to 85 miles per hour. This is for the Prince of Wales Island and some other areas around there. High winds will blow around unsecured objects and may damage property and cause power outages. 85 mile per hour gusts have been observed already. Honolulu, Hawaii, they have also issued a high wind warning until 6 p.m. this evening for the Big Island summits of Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa. West winds of 50 to 60 miles per hour with localized gusts over 70 miles per hour for the Big Island summits. This is until 6 a.m. today. Impacts winds this strong can make driving and walking dangerous. The winds can forcefully open doors and damage hinges or slam doors shut. So I don't think you would want to be living over there right now, possibly causing injuries. The type of stuff you see in movies, really. The most dangerous warning over here that I see is the avalanche warning. So we are going to talk about that. It's too dangerous not to talk about. This is the National Weather Service of Anchorage, Alaska. The following message is transmitted at the request of the Valdez Avalanche Center. The Valdez Avalanche Center has issued an avalanche warning for the following areas: Valdez, Thompson Pass from 5 p.m. Sunday through 5 p.m. Monday. The back country avalanche danger is very high. Very dangerous avalanche conditions exist. This is for the mountains surrounding the Valdez and Thompson Pass area. This is in effect from Sunday 5 p.m. through Monday 5 p.m. Alaska Standard Time. So it's in effect for many more hours, probably another 17 hours or so. Continued heavy snowfall along with rising temperatures overnight will create widespread areas of unstable snow. Natural avalanches will become likely Sunday night, and human-triggered avalanches will be very likely. Avalanche debris may run into valley bottoms. Travel in avalanche terrain is not recommended. Backcountry travelers should stay off of and out from underneath slopes steeper than 30 degrees. Avalanches could run long distances. Similar avalanche danger may exist outside the area specified. Anyone who's ever seen a video of an avalanche, it's a total horror story. We do have a large area here in the Midwest under a dense fog advisory. We have other places in the New England area under a winter weather advisory. Here's something very unique over here. For the next couple of days, the National Weather Service tells us that the lower 48 states, that's the 48 states over here, we're going to see mainly fair weather, with temperatures in the central and western U.S. running above average. A winter storm will continue impacting south central Alaska Monday with heavy snow and high winds. There were many records that were broken Sunday, January 28th. We have put it like this, and then records that are expected to be broken on Monday and Tuesday this week. Sunday's record, 65 degrees. This was the record, 1940. This is for Medford. I actually do not have the information right now to know whether that record was broken or not. But the forecast is similar to that. Monday's record, 64 degrees, set in 1995. Tuesday's record, 63 degrees, set in 1995. Forecast highs for Monday in Medford, a forecast high of 69. Record high again, 64. In Klamath Falls, Oregon, the record high Sunday, 55 degrees, set in 2015. Monday, 58 degrees, 1976. Tuesday, January 30th, 56 degrees, 2015. These are records. Whether they're going to be broken or not Sunday, I don't know. Monday, again, the record, 58 degrees. The forecast high for Klamath Falls, 61 degrees. This is due to ridging, an area of high pressure that will continue through Tuesday. Temperatures will warm 10 to 15 degrees above normal. Record warm temperatures will be in jeopardy Sunday through Tuesday. We also have a high wind watch in effect for those areas for Curry County coast, parts of the Shasta valleys. This includes Port Orford, Ashland, Wheat, and Klamath Falls. Just to read the following, this comes from the Morristown, Tennessee National Weather Service. This is the heavy snow event of January 14th through the 17th. So we're going back right now a couple weeks. January 14th, this is on a Sunday. A system impacted much of the area with moderate to heavy snow, followed by extremely cold air. Cold air was already in place, with most places starting out as snow even in the valley. This continued for the overnight periods and the day of the 16th, before tapering off by the evening. Places closer to the foothills and southeast Tennessee to southwest North Carolina saw more mixed precipitation due to warmer air in the lower levels. Many places from the southern plateau through the central and northern valleys saw an excess of 6 inches of snow, with some in the 10-inch range. This caused significant travel impacts and numerous weather-related car crashes. For the Knoxville area, this was the most snowfall in an event since the blizzard of 1993, and the most significant in the Morristown area since the February 2nd to February 3rd, 1996 snowfall event. For Chattanooga, if I'm pronouncing that right, this event alone served as the most snowfall in January since 2011. I mean, this is areas that don't normally receive this type of snow. Extreme cold also set in, with lows by the morning of the 17th falling to near or below zero in many places. Knoxville saw the coldest air temperature in 10 years as it dropped to 0 degrees. Freezing rain and snow moved into the area on Friday the 19th, which was followed by similar extreme cold during the weekend. The persistence of snow cover and cold proved to be a once-in-a-century event. Knoxville recorded 7 consecutive days with 4 inches or more of snow depth. This is the longest streak with depth data going back to 1910. The same was proven at our National Weather Service office, but records here only go back to the winter of 1995 through 1996. They report that this event was very significant with respect to snow totals, not to mention the cold air that followed and allowed snow to stick around for many days afterwards. Most places from the southern plateau through the southern and central valley up towards northeast Tennessee received at least 6 inches of snow. Some places confirmed up to 10 inches of snow. Places in far southern portions of the area even saw multiple inches of snow, which is very significant when given the fact that many winters in those areas go with little to no snowfall. On the topic of the cold that followed, many places saw low temperatures on the 17th fall to near or below zero. For several places, these temperatures were the lowest seen in 5 to 10 years. I see the 10-inch amount. It occurred at 36.1 degrees north latitude. It was 1 mile west-northwest of Wartburg, Morgan, Tennessee. An 8.8-inch amount was reported by a train spotter 2 miles west-northwest of Bearden Knox, Tennessee. 35.9 degrees north latitude. Here's the precipitation forecast, day 1 through 5, for this is the western areas. An atmospheric river will bring heavy rainfall to the west coast later this week. The northern regions may see 3 to 4 inches of rain, and parts of southern California may see 1 to 2 inches of rainfall with locally heavier values possible. We had a heavy rain event that occurred over this past weekend. As an effect, flood watches are, let's go over here. Scattered flood warnings remain in effect from the Texas Gulf Coast to the lower Mississippi Valley. At 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, I think this is on Sunday, the low pressure center was located over the southern Ohio Valley with a minimum central pressure of 1,002 MB. 29.71 inches in mercury. A cold front extended to the south across North Carolina down to the Florida Panhandle, while a warm front extended to the southwest across the Carolinas. National Weather Service radar showed heavy to moderate rainfall lifting northeast across the mid-Atlantic and northeast, and moderate rain across the Ohio Valley around an included low-pressure system. Dry conditions have finally returned to the lower Mississippi Valley. Here's some of those rainfall totals. In Arkansas, the highest amount, 8.4 inches in a city called Arkadelphia, 8.5 miles east to the southeast of that city. 8.4 inches. Hope, Arkansas, 8.35 inches. Camden, 7.65 inches. These are like amounts you would see in a tropical storm. Totally unbelievable stuff. Muscle Shoals, Alabama, 6.5 inches. In Georgia, Monroe, 5.54 inches. Kentucky, Linden, Kentucky, 3.3 inches. New Jersey, nothing really so significant. North Carolina, in Sapphire, 7.75 inches. South Carolina, in Tallahassee, 5.25 inches. In Good Spring, Tennessee, 4.75 inches. Louisiana is the winner, it looks like, at 12.54 inches in Ragley, Louisiana. Sulphur, Louisiana, 10.29 inches. Gramercy, 9.94 inches. A whole bunch of cities, 9 inches, 8 inches, 7 inches. In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 7.32 inches. Shreveport, Louisiana. These are not official, but this is 6.2 miles south of Shreveport, Louisiana, 7.64 inches. 1.8 miles southwest of Lake Charles, Louisiana, 8.78 inches. Those are some of the cities that I recognize. Mississippi, Sulphur, Mississippi, 10.29 inches. Jackson, Mississippi, 6.38 inches. Okay, let's change that. The winner is Montgomery, Texas, with 16.79 inches. That's 4 miles north of Montgomery, Texas. West Point, Texas, 14.65 inches. Huntsville, Texas, 12.9 inches. The low-pressure system is forecast to continue moving northeast across the mid-Atlantic region and move offshore into the Atlantic Sunday night into Monday. The heavy rainfall threat has ended for the lower Mississippi Valley, but heavy rainfall will remain possible for the mid-Atlantic through Sunday. Isolated instances of flash flooding remain possible, with the threat of flash flooding decreasing as the system finally departs. This will be the last storm summary issued by the Weather Prediction Center for this event. Please refer to your local National Weather Service office for additional information. Really unbelievable stuff going on here. We do have plenty of records that have been broken. 1 week record cold, historic, once in a century event for the South Central states, followed by all-time record highs across the East Coast and Washington, D.C., the Mid-Atlantic area for this week. Quite a contrast, and we have